Well, JOK and John Johnson III both talked about that elusive thing, kind of building chemistry. This is again from today.
I wouldn't use the word lacking necessarily, but I would say that that's something that we just need to get better at. You know, there's a lot of things that we need to get better at, but that's just one of the things that I would say that I took away just by my observation is just the ability for us to bond closer and the ability for us to build that team chemistry that's needed.
That chemistry is huge. Offense and defense and special teams, you know, we need, you know, to feed off one another. And it's big, and that's something, like I said, I think that's another job that I have to take on and figure it out, but we'll get there.
And Ashley, COVID kind of makes that whole chemistry and team building thing even a bigger challenge because you have two separate locker rooms, you try to separate and social distance. So those are some of the challenges for the Browns.
Yeah, I was going to say, we just heard from Kevin Stefanski like an hour ago, sort of answering those remarks from those guys. And I think it's sort of undoubted at this point that COVID played a major issue in that. Like you mentioned, these guys aren't even in one locker room. The last few weeks, especially, a lot of meetings have been virtual. Guys aren't doing as much outside of football necessarily. I mean, as the Browns were having that COVID outbreak a few weeks ago, we heard from multiple guys. Now, I'm sure it wasn't like this for everyone, but I believe Myles Garrett was one guy who said, I come to the facility and then I go back home. Like, some guys who are not willing to risk, you know, missing time just don't have much of a social life outside of coming to Berea every day and being in the facility and going to practice and getting workouts in. So I definitely think kind of having to split things up so that you could try to prevent a mass number of guys getting sick and landing on that COVID-19 reserve list at once definitely hindered that type of thing. But I'm curious, now that they recognize that's a problem, how they're going to resolve it going into 2022.